Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Hey, everybody. Where are we at? That seems to be the question I often ask. And let's see here. Well, if we go back over to Blender, this guy's running. He's racing into the screen. And then what we need is this shot here of a car reacting, at which point we go back to the kick situation, which may or may not be revised, although I did put the action on threes, more in keeping with anime convention. By the way, I'm going to turn this just a little bit. So with that, I would say that the question for me is whether the final edited sequence is really going to work or not. And the fact is, I don't know. Now, it's one of those things. It's happening so fast, and there's such a frenetic change in the shots that it's really hard to say. So what I'm going to stay focused on at this point is doing the most, doing the highest quality job I can of creating the animation and the ink and paint, and then we'll cut it all together and see if it works. If it doesn't work, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and it's all good practice, right? So I'm gonna go to OpenToonz for this shot for no other reason than it'll be fun to do it in OpenToonz. Now what I could do is take this really simple, and what I'm gonna do right now is let's go save all, and we are in the correct project, and this scene would be, I'm just checking the other screen here, this scene would be 90, I'm going to call this 91A, or actually 90, yeah, the ninja ones really should be 90A and B, so I'm going to call this 90A. What the heck? 0090. And should we put a dash? I think so. And we'll use caps for the name. So let's go to basics here. Yeah, basics will work. So what do we have? We basically have three keys. She's not looking, she's turning, she's looking. And she's obviously not in a very happy frame of mind. So I'm going to go B key, which by default in my case creates a Toonz raster level, which is what we want, although the ink is going to be on a different level. Now let's see. Yeah, this is actually a good screen to use because I can see that we're not really blocking much with the webcam. So actually let's do that. And now I want to go in, actually not to the vector, but the raster brushes. And for penciling it in, as usual, I like to use a Plano pencil. I just like it. What can I say? Okay. So what do we have here? One question I'm actually asking myself as I'm doing this is, what about going into full screen mode? I wonder, I actually should know this, but I don't know what the hotkey is. It's been a while since I did this. Windows, toggle maximize panel. Is that a tilde? I think it is. Yep, that was it. Okay, so now by hitting the N key and going to full size, I can see that this scene, this project, this everything is set to full HD. Generally speaking, it has been my practice to keep the scenes at broadcast HD. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go, let me see, I really want to I could change my camera settings. Let's do that. Let's change the camera settings and see what that does. So now we've got more screen real estate in the pictures, but the actual camera view is yeah, I like that. I like that. That's probably a good way to work generally, because then you've got some screen real estate and you could always move the camera. You basically got room for a camera move. Frankly, every feature film I've created that you can see at blendedplanet.com was done this way. Shot in full HD, but actually edited in broadcast HD. If you tell a distributor that hey, by the way, we edited the film in broadcast HD and then up-resed it to full HD as a final post-processing step, the distributor will have a cow. You can't do that. Guess what? You can do that. And you know what? The audience can't tell the difference. Okay, yeah, there's one person out of 1,000 who'll say, what's going on here? But basically, they can't tell the difference. So, having said that, let's just kind of copy these shots. What I want to do is basically get this blocked in there. So what do we have? We have a little rectangle, right? There's a rectangle. Okay. Keep it simple, baby. And up above the rectangle, about, what would you call that? 4/7 of the way across the page. Okay, and then we've got a big old sphere, and okay, so now we've drawn the basic structure of a car's head. So we're good to go. Now, we'll just kind of fill this baby in, and again, I'm hitting N so that I want to work at the actual size. Now, one of the issues that we will have is at the inking stage we may need to do some things like that in order to make our shapes fill. But okay, so I'm gonna kind of get her ear in there. And where would her little wingdinger be? Her wingdinger would be right about there, in which case her ponytail would be something like that. And don't forget the pigtails. I always forget her pigtails. Okay, and then she's got this little structure on her hair, right? Okay, so now we'll hit the tilde key, and we're going to do this on threes. And I'm just going to hit the D key. Okay, this is interesting, and this is happening because I recently installed the latest nightly build of OpenToonz. Please enable sync level strip drawing number changes with the X sheet in the preferences option to use the duplicate command in the X sheet timeline. So it's sync level strip drawing number changes with the X sheet. Probably under drawing. I don't see it there. Let's go up to the top here. Unfortunately, they didn't tell you where in the preferences to find that option. So, import, export, nah. You'd really think it'd be under drawing, wouldn't you? And I've been known to look straight at this stuff and not see it, so, yeah. X sheet, sync, there it is, boom. Okay, so we'll just hit save all and see if it works now without having to restart, and it does. Great, 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 great. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a third drawing here. Now we'll go up to here, and what I'm going to do is just zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to go, okay, this is interesting. My default really needs to be freehand on the selection tool, so get rid of that. Same thing here. Get rid of that. Okay, so obviously we're keeping our body static. We could, at the ink and paint stage, go ahead and put this on a separate level altogether. But for the moment, we will simply... okay, now I'm going to go here. Yes, next drawing. Okay. Okay, so now we do have a problem in my hotkeys, that the next drawing hotkey works, but the previous drawing, which would be the comma, does not work. So sorry about that, folks. Let's just go to previous drawing. Needs to be this, and that should do the trick. Little interface weirdness there. Okay, let's see if that did the trick. And indeed it did. So now we can take this and kind of say, well, what's that going to do? What's that going to do? That's going to go like that. Okay, so now let's go back and just take a quick peek here, because I think my rough was actually not too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. Okay. So I'm going to just keep toggling back and forth here, and just because there's really, it's not that big of a deal to follow this original drawing, because it's not like it's that great. But okay, so now presumably this would be something like that. Okay, so there's the center of her head. Here it's going to be really right on the side. I wonder if that's what I did in Krita. Probably. Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of the classic anime side view kind of thing. So that would be kind of like that. And we've this shot, or this drawing, obviously is a little more forgiving, because it's only going to be on the screen for 1, 2, 3 frames, so 1/8 of a second. Well, actually, so is this one, as far as that goes. Okay, so now we're going to say this is going to kind of arc like that, and then it's going to settle, but it's going to stay on her back, like so, and it'll be wrapped around. So now here, for this pose, her ear would have made its way to about there, and let's get the top of her head about right, and we'll say this from the side, being that it is essentially a cylinder, kind of goes like that. So oops, that was a mistake. Didn't mean to do that. Fortunately, we can just go like that, and we'll just follow that around. Halfway through the head. Halfway through the head. Okay. Ear. Ear. And now her eyes. And she's not happy. I'm going to make this, and you notice here, the transitional expression was, I don't know, not quite what I was after. Again, this is one of those, I usually call them sort of anime effect-y types of shots where it's allowed to be a little more cartoony, a little more exaggerated, yada yada yada. Alright, now where I always botch things is on Akari's eyes. So what I'm going to do, I think fortunately in OpenToonz now, the canvas flipping stays centered on what you're looking at, which is great. It didn't used to. It used to flip the whole canvas, so if she wasn't centered on the page, which maybe, I mean, I guess she is. Let's test that. I'm going to draw a little circle here, and I'm going to zoom in on it. Now if I flip the canvas, yeah, see, it stays centered on whatever you're looking at, which is really what you would want almost all the time. Not 100%, but. So, her eyes are essentially a slanted rectangle. And I think it might prove to be useful to ink this twice so that we simply get the sort of shaky effect that you get sometimes in anime. And we'll get to that when we get to it, I suppose. So let's just keep moving fast. And we want to make sure that texture's in there. That's cool. That's cool. And then this is going to come down like that. And she does have kind of a square jaw, so we don't want to lose track of that. All right. And of course, we can get rid of that. There's no need for that to be in there. So one thing I'm trying to be cognizant of also here is just really simple shapes. Be a little bit more, I'm trying to become a little more disciplined as an animator guy. Alright, what do we think about this? Well, what I'm thinking is maybe, oh come on, hate when that happens. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and grab it there, and then I'm going to flip it so I can see what I'm doing better. And OpenToonz just did the same thing again. Let me see, maybe if I use the mouse. Yeah, that'll work. Now I can flip the canvas and save all. That's it, folks. Now I can go ahead and ink the sucker. Okay, what just happened? Okay, okay. Alright, we've uncovered a bug. That sucks. That couldn't possibly suck more. Is it because it was selected? Okay, yeah, and as I'm hitting undo, look what's happening. OpenToonz is actually restoring squares. What in the flaming hell is going on in memory? Okay, is that a bug? Oh my gosh, is that ever a bug? Is that a disgusting bug? No, I'm going to blame that one on myself for this reason. I'm going to assume that the only reason that happened, based on some stuff that happened the other day, it's very tempting to think that the save all operation was what caused that. It's like OpenToonz very much got confused under the hood with what it was supposed to be doing with the drawings. Really hard to reproduce every little step and know what went wrong. I'm going to assume that this is my stupid fault for leaving this selected. Okay, I left this selected like that instead of maybe just switching back to the brush tool or something, and I think that leaving it selected was actually what caused that to happen. Fortunately, I think I can get this back in shape fairly quickly. Now, I do need to still do what I did before, so meaning the slight shrinkage. So let's just go ahead and grab this stuff, and then I use my mouse. And I'm going to actually hit the control key so I can control this a little better. Okay, let's select that. Now what I'm going to do is click anywhere. I'm going to hit the B key, click away from it, and hit save all. And let's see if OpenToonz gets it right. And it did. Okay, so now Yeah, and we could always put a camera move in there too. So File, Save All, boom, B key. Okay, so now we've got this not quite what I want. I want this to be 2 to 6. I want the hardness, let's just go 50%, and let's put the smoothing usually around 15. Seems to be about right. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, whoops, and I'm going to go ahead and draw the stuff that I know is not going to change. And I'm going to run this all the way down for the simple reason that we may want to put a camera move in there. So why not go ahead and draw it so it's there, right? Okay, that's probably workable. Well, except this is obviously not going to be there since we're doing the ponytail. Alright, so we want to put that in there, put the pigtail in there, which again I forgot on the other two drawings. No big shock there. I think they have a nickel for every time I've forgotten to draw this girl's pigtails. Boom, boom. Alright, so now I think that'll work. Probably should close that shape. And methinks hitting the Alt key to shrink that little spot right there. I'm going to go ahead and erase, just so when I put in the flesh tone, I can be sure the entire area is going to be filled. So I guess what we could do, instead of soloing this, haven't done this in a while, but I think View, yeah, Alt F. Okay, let's kill both of these. Okay, thank you, Fill Tool or Fill Checker. You just showed me a problem right there. So that's great. Always nice when the Fill Check tool actually helps you make sure things are filled. Super duper. Now I don't think that capability is mapped to the Alt F the way I have it by default. I'm pretty sure it's not actually. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the D key. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna hit the D key. I'm gonna go ahead and make it a duplicate. Alright, and then the easiest way to erase this would actually be to just select all this. And I think we'll leave that there. Now we can manually erase. We just want to make this shift. Whoops. Yeah, every time I have to click down. Yeah, even if I just click down very carefully, it loses focus. So anytime I'm actually doing a manipulation with the selection tool, I have to actually do the manipulation with the mouse. Fortunately, in my case, the mouse is right there in front of me, and it's not a big deal to switch between the two. So, B key here, and let's close that shape up. Let's just go ahead and clean this. No. Let's do that again. Let's just be a little bit smart about it. Okay. And there we go. Alright, again, we sort of determined that from the side we know a cylinder is in fact a rectangle. So there it is. And we'll go like that because I think we might want to actually have a gap right there. So, whoa. Whoa. Sorry about the cheese ball sound effects, folks. Sometimes I just get carried away. So what I was saying earlier about being more meticulous with my drawing is I'm actually very conscientiously thinking about C's, S's, and straight lines. Really being cognizant of what the constituent shapes are. There's a C. There's a C in the other direction. All right. Okay, and now we got to give a little bit of sketchy dimensionality there, and I'm just going to go ahead and close her eye. There are certainly circumstances where it would make more sense not to close the eye because it'll just look better if you had either a different color or just the white of the eye delineating the edge. But in this case, since it's only going to be on the screen for 3 frames, I kind of sort of think I can get away with just coloring it in, as it were, or drawing the full outline. Okay, so now D key, and let's just do a little erasing here, so we can then go S key, grabbing the mouse, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip this guy around and then just pull it up a little bit. Okay, B key here. And yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like that's the contour, so. And then we can just erase back into it like that. And now, how do we want to do this? Well, this is obviously not right. So I could use the selection tool to just delete it all at once, but since we're kind of right there, let's just go ahead and erasey poo. Okay. B key, boom, boom, boom. A little bit of a loopy there. Alright, let's zoom in on this and see what we have. Yeah, that'll work. Now I'm allowing myself to use a little bit of pressure to give a little bit of character to the lines, just because this is going to be the drawing that we settle on, that we land on, that we're going to see for more than 1/8 of a second. So let's close that up. And let's zoom in here. Now what I said I was going to do is I'm actually going to hit the D key there to make a duplicate, and I'm going to ink it twice. And then I'll decide if I like the effect, and if I don't, no harm done. No harm done. Boom, baby. Alright, here we got a similar situation, obviously. And boom. Okay. Now, like I said, what I think I'll do is I'm going to hit duplicate. And I would say I actually only want to re-ink her face, probably this edge, probably these lines, maybe that, and maybe that. Okay, I'm sort of taking a chance here what I think will work. But the assumption here, I forget what they call this technique, this effect. It has a name. No. But just by virtue of having drawn it twice, you're going to naturally have some variation in it. Okay, see, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable at all. Ick. So we need to at least end in the same spot. And then this should probably be closer as well. That's better. Like I said, I don't know if this is going to work. I haven't really used this technique that much, and it probably is fairly obvious that I'm not all that good at it. You really do need to keep the ink lines pretty similar. Okay, so now let's go in and do a little bit of fixing up with the eraser. Boom and boom. Okay, so now B key. I'm going to put a dot there. 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 And actually, okay. That way, I'm going to get these pretty similar. You know, obviously you could, yeah, that's not too bad. Obviously you could use maybe the selection tool to just distort it a little bit. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, again, I just reserve the right to fail here, because it definitely may not work. You might be wondering why I don't use the onion skins and actually trace the previous ink work. And you're correct. That would be probably a smarter way to do it, actually. I didn't mean to flip the canvas there. Oh, I see what I'm doing here. Okay, now what about her mouth, huh? Let's do that. I want to see what happens. Okay. My bad. Forgot how to use the, yeah, I guess this does make more sense. So to get this effect, I would actually be so bold as to come out and say, you're going to get a better result if you just use the onion skins to trace the prior lines, because then all your lines are in the right place, but there's just going to be a slight variation, you know. And that's really what you're after. I think the rest of it I got pretty good. Pretty good, but not perfect. So yeah, as you guys might know if you watch many of my videos, I'm not a huge onion skins guy. Okay, this was kind of a mistake. I got it surprisingly close, but I should really just trace this. Okay. Are we good? I think we're good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let this hold. And let's just go to a second and a half. And do we want to extend this maybe down to here? So a quarter of a second. Switch on 3s. And then what would happen here is I'm hitting the Q key. Whoops. Q. So the Q and the W key let you toggle between the drawings. Delete that, and we're in the right spot. So now we can just turn the sketch off and see what happens. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I think if we actually combine this with a camera move, it would be quite sweet. Okay, very good. So now the question becomes one of color. How we doing? Half an hour here? Not too bad to do a shot. So in the color zone, I want to pull up my, on my other screen, my Fast Stone image viewer. And I'm going to go to characters, in which place you find all kinds of ancient drawings. I believe here's Akari. I believe this will give me the colors I need. So let's just load that and pop it back here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go Control C, and I'm going to go hair, skin, nightgown, and eyes. That's it, actually. So hair, I'm going to hit the R key to sample that, and sample that. In her case, it turns out that the eyes and the by the way, I need a copy of this as well. It's going to be a little darker for the band. Her eyes and her nightgown are the same color. So, happy coincidence on that. Okay, so now I want to turn the onion skins off. They're just distracting. Okay, that was quick. Oh, I didn't color the fourth picture, did I? Number 4. Okay. Flesh tone, flesh tone, flesh tone. So F key if you don't know. Alright, let's go in here. Ooh, that's problematic. I guess we made it work. Okay, and we're definitely going to have some touch up here. So I want to go Control C, Control V, and make this white. And then normally what I do with the whites of eyes is I'll make it like gray, just so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Up. All right, I'm going to use the brush to close that up. All right, and okay, so now after the fact, we can go ahead and turn those up, maybe down just a little bit. And for her teeth, we'll just use the same color in this particular case. Okay, so now the question becomes, what's wrong? The answer is, there's a few things. First thing is the actual outline color is not supposed to be black. And I'm going to experiment with a fairly light outline color that has just a little bit of chromaticity allowed to sneak in, like so. It's interesting that when you add a little bit of color to the outlines, they actually can be quite a bit lighter and still look good. So here we're going to okay. Now anatomically, I don't know if I'm totally buying that, but since you can't see it most of the time, I think it's no big deal. Maybe we should save our work. Save all. Okay. I see one problem. Here. I don't believe I colored those teeth. Yeah. Okay, that seems to be about right. Now we are going to want to have a shadow layer, by the way. Okay, so now that should not be in the render. Go ahead and turn that off like so. And again, file, save all. What? Oh, I see. That's just a guide thing. Okay, so now what I think I want to do is add a little bit of judicious, you know, this sort of thing. And I'm going to want to go in and clean up these, patch these little holes as well. Alright, now here, we don't have as much latitude to just wing it because of the ensuing shadows. So what I'm going to do is, okay, that's interesting. Look at that. Okay, OpenToonz is not going to let me see those lines. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go, and I'm going to just, might as well turn the onion skins off. I'm going to go ahead and grab this, Control C, Control V. Alright, because I don't need these lines to wiggle. Therefore, let's just select them, Control C, Control V. Okay. Okay, what the heck? There they are, there they aren't. Okay, so what that means is that when I did my Control C, I apparently, actually maybe I never hit Control C. Maybe I just hit Control, maybe I just selected it and then jumped to the next. Okay. Now, let's go in here and let's hit the V key, which is the paintbrush tool, only filling areas. And let's just do some, whoops, I don't like that. Yeah, that's not haps. That's not haps. Let's erase areas here. Okay, hitting the Alt key to make this a little smaller. And then I'm going to just tune this up a bit. A lot of work. Come on, come on. Apparently that's in the lines, not the areas. Alright, V key. Yep. Okay, next drawing. We're going to have to do some flesh tone touch up as well. Yeah, mainly on the eyebrows. Just to make sure that those are not letting the background sneak through. File, save all. How's she look? Ah, pretty good. Let's do a shadow layer. B key, boom. And let's make this really, really, really simple. She's got the window in front of her. So honestly, we can kind of do this the simplest possible way. Now, I better, yeah. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Hit Alt, make that bigger. And we want to be able to erase lines now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw this all the way down here, like so, and then just fill it. Now we'll come over here and tweak the alpha, just so it kind of sort of feels good. And then I'm also going to use the, actually no I'm not. I was going to use the paintbrush tool, but I just remembered something, which is that when you use the paintbrush tool, you lose your anti-aliasing. So the edge will not be, it won't be anti-aliased. You can add anti-aliasing in post. My experience is it doesn't actually look that great. So others could maybe debate that point with me. Sorry, I want the D key. So we have a duplicate, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my eraser real big and just redo the top part. And then here we might as well just go like that. We won't need a second frame because obviously the shadows aren't going to change over that jumping around technique. So here we can just go and obviously we could mask this to prevent the problem I'm obviously trying to prevent here, but you know what, we don't really need to. Let's just go like that and then fill it. Okay, here simple situation. I want to zoom way in here and fix this. So I'll hit the Alt key to shrink our eraser down to a more manageable size. And see here, you see you've got the no anti-aliasing either. Let's see what happens if we turn the hardness way down. Maybe that fixes it. Not really. It makes the range of erasing softer, but the actual edge is not. So forget it. We'll just go like that and then hit the fill tool. Okay. I think we're haps. Go. Yeah. And don't you agree that a camera move does make a heck of a lot of sense in this case? Let's have fun and make that camera move a proper parallax camera move. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to go into the backgrounds and let's just find a fairly high res. There's a really high res one. Yeah, this one's 3000 by 3000. I think we could use this. Actually, what about using this one? That's an interesting idea. Let's try it. So let's put it in here. We'll load this up. Okay, a little bit of a glitch there, but not a tragedy. OpenToonz did what OpenToonz is supposed to do, which is to treat it as an image sequence. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find that other one. I believe that's the one I'm looking for. So let's kill these. Let's kill these. Let's save early, save often. And then these need to be in two separate levels because I'm going to use one and not the other ultimately. And then obviously they all need to be slid over yonder like Oh, come on, OpenToonz. Jeez, oh Pete. I don't know what you're trying to do. Okay. So going back to this frame, my thinking is, that one looks better. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off in the X sheet and in the render preview. So now I can drag this down like so. And now let's go ahead and use the animate tool to kind of tweak its position. And I am going to put a focal blur on it, by the way. But the reason I'm using it this way is so that what am I trying to say here? Oh, I don't want to have to show the ninjas in the drawing. Okay, and so now what we're going to do, this is the part that's going to be kind of fun. Let's go into 3D mode. Now if you're going to do this and you're going to do a camera move, what I recommend doing is go to your Windows and you want to, or maybe it's View. No, I think it's Windows. Viewer. Or you could use the combo viewer, but basically you want to open up a second viewer that shows what the camera's seeing. Alright, so now back here, I'm going to move this back. I don't want to make it too far. Alright, and then I'm going to hit the animate tool. And I want to okay, let me just see here actually. Darn it. Okay, that's not what I intended to do. Let's just go back to position. Okay. So when it was here, it was about like that. So I'm noting the distance with her hair. So now I'm hitting Control to move this back. And then I'm going to scale it up until it's kind of sort of in the same position. Okay. Now, why did we do that? I think you know why we did that. And the reason we did that is so that we can now move the camera and have parallax. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and just go back to the camera view and let's crop it to the camera. And now what we want to do, since we're using the animate tool, is we want to come up here and select the camera. Now this is a bit of a pain because it's a little trickier to edit the camera data after the fact if you don't link the camera to something else. But I'm going to go ahead and assume I can get this right on the first try. So I'm going to say, let's take the camera and we want to change its position. And now let me just check here if I'm doing what yeah. By hitting Control, it's changing its Z position. So what I'm going to do is pull out here to about there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit well, wait a second. Let me check a couple things. I want to check my preferences, animate. Okay, that's cool. My question is, what if, okay, yeah, so there's a key there. So OpenToonz is kind of context aware, so it sees that there's a keyframe there, so that's good. So now what I can do is I'm just going to go to, I think about 9, and insert another key. And the reason I'm doing that is so that once the camera starts moving, it'll actually start from frame 9. Okay, and then I'm going to go to here. I'm hitting Control. And let's just see how that feels. Not bad. Not bad. L key. Okay, so now the only thing I'm objecting to is, let's go ahead and grab this column. Now we can grab this column. So now we've got the right column selected. Now what I want to do right here on frame 1 is I want to move this back even further and scale it up even more because I didn't feel like I was getting enough parallax. That's pretty good. Okay, the only thing that's missing, kind of glaringly absent actually, save all, is some highlights on her hair. I'm going to go ahead and delete this level, and I'm going to delete this level. There's no reason for them to be in there. I'm pretty sure that OpenToonz is not going to delete them from the Toonz file, unfortunately. I'm going to hit save all. Let's see if OpenToonz is going to be silly. I'm going to close it since I saved everything. Just to see if it reopens properly, because if it doesn't, we'll just have to stop here and go, okay, these daily builds might be biting me in the butt a little bit. No, looks like we're in good shape. Very good. Okay, so really two questions. Number one, do we want a second level of shadow? And I say we do. So let's go Control C, Control V, but this level of shadow, let's make the opacity of it, let's make it like 85. Okay, so now in the first, let me think about this. This has been filled, so I think what I'm going to have to do to make this work is use the V key. Yes, and I'm painting over areas. So this is effectively replacing the paint of that area that was filled, and unfortunately you can't really have pressure with the paintbrush tool, which is kind of a drag, but you know, if we go through and we massage it manually, we can make it look pretty decent. So there's that. I wonder if I use the B key, if I were to overwrite this with lines. I better save all, because I think this may like kind of wreck it. So what I'm thinking is, okay, that's fine. Let's do that. Okay, so now I'm going back to the V key. Okay, stop. Okay, and now I'm hitting undo repeatedly, and instead of undoing that little glitch right there, it's undoing these lines that I drew earlier, so that means that's a bug. There's no question about it. That is a definite bug. Sad but true. So now I'm going to go here, since I happen to be noticing this right now. I'm going to go ahead and do a little fix up right there. Back to the shadow layer, and it was the darker shadow that I was using here. And I really want to kind of erase that bit right there. Okay, so let's pull out a little bit. And then the other thing I wanted to do was Control C, Control V, and this is going to be white. And this I'm going to do with the brush. Okay, don't need that right there. Okay, that was not supposed to happen. Okay, next drawing. Just give her a little bit of a rim light there, and then some texture. Let's go ahead and follow that through, and then we'll come back and hit those shadows again. I like that. It just makes her pop a little bit. Okay, and why don't we, you know, I guess that's got its alpha pretty low actually. Why don't we make a second one with the alpha even lower. Let's put the alpha at like 40. So we can... that's weird. Wonder why we'd see that at all. That's a bit strange. Okay. Not quite sure what I want to think about that, but okay. This alpha is at 0. Why do we see it? One wonders, doesn't one? Okay, and that is not going to change. That can extend over those other keyframes. So now we want to go back to this with the paintbrush tool. All we're trying to do here is just get this extra little measure of quality if we can. Boom. Okay. Now let's really zoom in and think about what we're doing here, since we're going to be resting on this particular frame for quite some time. Well, half a second anyway. Okay, and while we're here, I wonder if we go like that. And that doesn't really work for me. Okay, I want to go here, and again, I'm using the paintbrush, but you can just see a little bit of a flaw in here. Yeah, and this one's got the same issue, so let's fix it up. Okay, back to this. Excuse me. That I don't like. That's making things look too, what's the word? I don't know. I don't know what the word is. Too 3D, I guess. Let's give that a crack. And actually, I'm going to turn it on full render mode. And let's let it cache and kind of see how things are looking. Okay, we've got a obvious speck there that doesn't belong. Kind of a glaring speck that looks like it's in frame 3. Let's erase that. Take that off. And use the paintbrush to fill it back in. Uh-oh, I'm going to sneeze. Dang, I hate when that happens. Well, this is allergy season. This is like the worst time of year when it comes to, you know, sneezing. And keep seeing little flaws that I want to fix. Well, it always pays to be meticulous, doesn't it? One thinks that it does. One hopes that it does. Okay. There's a little issue here that your audience is never going to see, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the eraser, alright, and I'm going to make it real small, and I'm only going to erase lines. Here's why. I just want to clean that up. Okay, now let me see if the next drawing has that issue. It does not, but what it does have is this that right there. Okay, erasing lines is not going to do me any good. What we need to do is paintbrush in the eye color. Okay, so now there is one more thing that's actually glaringly absent. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Control C, Control V, make this fully opaque, fully white. On drawing number 3. And I'm going to add a nice specular glint to her eye. Alright, let's go back to full size. We'll hit the tilde key so we're full screen. Excuse me. And see how things are looking. Not too shabby. What happens if we go to a proper preview and let that cache? Guys, I think we have a successful shot here. What do we think about putting some little shadow under the eyes? I do think that probably would be helpful. I'm going to again save all. Let's go into here. If we're going to do it, we should probably do it with this shadow color, and we should probably do it with the paintbrush. Okay. Now, the question is, do we just let that stay static? I think we should. I think it actually looks better if we don't shake that. Okay, and with that, we'll be able to render it.
Ugh, I can't talk now. I don't seem to be able to talk anymore. That's very disappointing.
Save all. And I will render this, cut it into the show, and then I suppose in the next video we'll, you know, take a closer look and see how things actually worked. So with that, I will stop. Thanks for watching, and as you know, there will be more later.